3rd of August episode 2022. Obviously coming off the back of NXT Heatwave. And what a show, man. What a show. This was so packed. I mean, we got 2 hours worth of show, but I feel like there's about 3 hours worth of talking points here. Like, there is so much for us to go through. Really excited to actually break this down because loads of talking points. So a lot of the times you'll watch these shows and there's not really much to like really dwell on. Here, I feel like we got a whole month's worth of stuff. So we're going to go through it step by step. So the show started with Tyle Bate and Bron Breakker in the ring. Obviously, they were face-to-face at the end of Heatwave last week. And so the match is made. Worlds collide. They're going to unify the titles. Tyle Bate said that he is a proud flag bearer of the NXT UK brand. He was the first champion, and he will be the last champion as well. Heartbreaking, to be honest. I did say during the watch-along, it would be great if he put a stipulation in that if he wins, we get to keep the NXT UK championship, because it just looks so much better than the NXT title. NXT title's all right. Don't hate it. I know that it divides opinion because of the colours and whatever, but it's all right. But for me, the NXT UK title is one of the best titles in all of WWE. It's so detailed and prestigious, and it just looks fantastic. So yeah, I am gonna be really sorry to see that championship go, but this was good. You know, they've agreed at Worlds Collide they're going to unify the belts, champion versus champion. And actually, Worlds Collide not that far away. We will be doing the watch along. I just need to double check that it 100% doesn't collide with AEW All Out because it's on the same day. But we think that Worlds Collide should end just before All Out begins. So as long as that is the case, then we should hopefully be able to do both. So we are going to look to do both of those shows. So that's how the show began. Then we had a match. It was for the NXT UK tag titles, and it was Gallus taking on Briggs and Jaensen. Match was all right. There were some nice moments in there, but basically Lash Legend and Pretty Deadly get involved. It results in Briggs and Jaensen being counted out. So Gallus win, but they don't win the titles. I think they said next week we're going to get Diamond Mine, who are the current NXT tag champs, taking on Gallus. This all feels like we're heading to a triple threat. It really feels like we're going to get Gallus against Briggs and Jaensen, against Diamond Mine, to unify the tag titles. That match hasn't been made yet. I expect it to be made next week for Worlds Collide. So it feels like we're heading in that direction. So yeah, Briggs and Jaensen getting costed the match here. And that meant that Gallus won. Gallus, though, would have their own problems because they were in the ring and Diamond Mine would attack them. Obviously, there was last week, I think, was it Gallus attacked Diamond Mine last week? So this was payback for that. So, yeah, we did get Diamond Mine attacking. So that match has been made for next week. And as we said, can definitely see that triple threat being on the horizon. Next, we got a little backstage segment, and this backstage segment was a Chase University segment, and we had Charlie Dempsey, I believe the son of William Regal. He was teaching the students some like holds, and he was going a bit too far, and you know, the students were getting upset with him. Andre Chase was getting upset with him, but he was like, you know, your class is soft. What you want to do is Google Billy Robinson, which was just really great to hear Billy Robinson getting mentioned. Absolute legend of mat wrestling. Catchers catch can. And yeah, this was cool. It reminded me a lot of the Timothy Thatcher skits from like vignettes from a few years ago, where he was kind of showing like, you know, the art of wrestling and showing off different moves. So it seems like Charlie Dempsey is in that kind of Timothy Thatcher role. So, yeah, it's cool. It didn't work out very well for Timothy Thatcher. But saying that, this is a different WWE. Timothy Thatcher, you just couldn't see working on the main roster. He's not Vince's kind of superstar. But obviously, that's not a problem anymore. So, it'll be interesting to see where we go with Charlie Dempsey. I'm on board with him. I really like him. He's my kind of wrestler. But, yeah, not the kind of wrestler that we've been seeing, to be honest, on the main roster. I suppose, in a way, he's a little bit Daniel Bryan-esque. What with his love of actual grappling, actual wrestling holds. They made Daniel Bryan work, so keep an eye on him. I like him. Keep an eye on him. Next, we got someone I really like. I really like this. I made the comparison to Roddy Piper. And, of course, he's not as good as Roddy Piper. He's not going to be as witty as Roddy Piper. But he did a great job here. Grayson Waller, smarmy heel, like constantly talking. He talks with such confidence. But he asked the questions of Apollo that we all want asked. Like, I want Apollo to be asked, where's your accent gone? Yeah, I want Apollo to be asked about why was your main roster run so bad? And when you get these kind of talk show segments, they never tend to ask those questions. It's like, oh, why did you attack such and such last week? Or, what are you doing here in NXT? Like, they never really ask the kind of things that you want to be asked. Grayson Waller did. Grayson Waller did. Didn't you used to have an accent? Brilliant. I mean, honestly, as soon as he said that, I honestly thought that it was going to be ignored. I honestly thought that Apollo was just laughing, the conversation would move on. But he didn't. He answered it. And he said, I got too caught up in focusing on my past and not focused enough on my present, which is such a great answer. Don't worry about your history and your ancestry and where your family are from and everything. Focus on where you are now and where you're trying to get to. And Apollo completely explaining why you moved away from that accent, which he even did this one, and then he did it. I mean, it was brilliant. And then also there was another great line as well. You can see the set here of the Grayson Waller Effect, which I really like this segment. There was another one, they were face to face. Grayson Waller got in his face and he was like, how are you going to tell your kids, or what are you going to tell your kids about the fact you was a failure on Monday nights and Friday nights? Kind of making out that, you didn't do it on Raw, you didn't do it on SmackDown. And this is true. In the fans' eyes, he was not a success on the main roster. And I really like his answer. His answer was, I will tell my kids I was a champion on a Monday and I was a champion on a Friday and I'm soon to be a champion on a Tuesday. And that's a great answer. So it's kind of like, you might perceive me to have not been a success, but I did actually get success. I did taste success. He mentioned he was an Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania 37, which I totally don't remember. Totally don't remember him winning the IC belt WrestleMania 37. I watched that show. Anything to do with Apollo on the main roster is just gone from my brain. So I liked his answers. I liked the fact the questions were so direct. I liked the fact they were answered. This made me like Apollo more. And is that not what these segments should do? They should actually, make you respect someone more or make you hate someone more. That's what this did. That's what this did. This is a talk show segment done right. Done right. Not just there to kill time. Not just there to take time out of the show, but to actually achieve something. And I know I sound like I might be going a bit OTT on it, but I love talk show segments. I think that they can be so useful. I think that it's a really good tool, a really good segment to use to break up wrestling. I want talk show segments on the main roster. I want there to be regular talk show segments. And this is how you do it. This is the kind of thing you do. Ask the hard-hitting questions. Ask the questions that we ask as fans at home and get the answers and help us bring some sense to this, because we all know the truth. The truth is that they tried to make him like that Nigerian gimmick. It didn't work, and now he's had to change to something else. But what's his explanation for it? Because he can't say that. He can't turn around and go, yeah, well, Vince thought it was a gimmick that was going to work, but it didn't. He can't say that, can he? So instead, he's had to come up with this, and it was a great answer. Great. I was too focused on my past, not focused on the present. Great answer. Great segment. Well done, everyone involved. Next, we move on to a debut. This is Javier Bernal. making his UFC debut. We would see this guy later because he was taking on Cameron Grimes to the moon, and he would fall short and he would lose. So he did lose to Cameron Grimes. We would see this Javier later. There was a security guard backstage, and I never caught his name, but he was basically talking to some woman, and she said, "Oh, you almost won, or you almost had the victory." And he was like, "Almost? Like, next time you talk to me, show me some more respect than that." So he was going off at this woman later on in the show. This security guard, massive guy, stepped up to me and was like, "Dude, you don't talk to women like that." And it was kind of interesting. I think they're, trying to introduce some new characters. I don't know who this Javier is. First time I'm seeing him. I don't know who the security guard is, but clearly he's a superstar. Or an NXT superstar that will be active soon if he's not already. And I didn't even know who that woman was. So there was a lot of confusion for me, but I kind of like the fact they're bringing in new stars in the middle of like all this other stuff that's happening. This show was stacked. I mean, we haven't even really begun yet. And there's already been quite a few things that have gone down. Next up, though, this is the start of something pretty major. A few things, actually. Blair Davenport, look at that for an entrance. Kind of projecting stuff onto the ring. I did notice, actually, when Bron Breakker came in, they had Break projected onto the ring. So now you're getting this for Blair Davenport. Obviously, she's coming over from NXT UK, formerly known as B. Priestley. She would be in the ring competing against Indi Hartwell. And I was over the moon to see Indi Hartwell. Indi came out first, and I was like, they should definitely have Indi win this, whoever she's facing, because I want to see her be like women's champ, all that kind of stuff. And then they brought out Blair Davenport, and I was like, there's no way they're having Blair Davenport lose. So I knew Indi was losing. So I was pretty down about that. Match goes on, and guess what? Indi Hartwell loses. Good little match, though. I was really into it. And, I mean, not a classic or anything, probably around the 3.25, 3.325. It was fine. It was a solid little thing, but nothing spectacular. But I think given time, if they were to work on a few spots and actually be given, like, a premium live event match, they could do some really fun stuff. So I did actually say, I wonder if this is a glimpse into a future women's title match right here. Blair Davenport against Indi Hartwell. So, that match happened. And afterwards, we then had Mandy come down. Blair Davenport said she was the number one contender for NXT UK. But now she's in NXT. She's quite happy with the NXT Women's Championship. So she made her intentions very clear. That brought out Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose said that she was impressed. And said that you need to put respect on her name, though. She is the women's champ here in NXT. She's been the women's champ for a long time, and it really felt like these two were on a collision course. And then, wow, did we get a great moment? Meiko Satomura, the NXT UK women's champion, came out. That was great. Crowd were like, "Oh my god, Meiko is a legend, man." She was in WCW. She, not for long, I don't believe, but her career goes all the way back to the 90s. She was in a few Japanese women's promotions. She started her own Japanese women's promotion called Sendai Girls, I believe. And she has been training women. I know Sasha went over to train with her. She is seen as a legend of women's wrestling over in Japan. She is one of kind of the biggest active names, if you will. She's obviously been involved in WWE for a while. I think she was in a Mae Young Classic tournament. Then they ended up bringing her over to NXT UK. She's been the NXT UK Women's Champion for quite a while. I think she got it off Kaylee Ray, or Alba Fire as she goes by now. But either way, great to see her here. She really is, I mean, the end boss. She is someone I could see on the main roster. I could see, like, if you want to really achieve something in WWE, you beat Meiko Satomura, and that is an achievement. I could see that being an achievement for Charlotte. I could see Charlotte trying to beat the wrestling goddess that is Meiko Satomura. I wonder if Triple H will use her that way and will bring her to the main roster. I don't know if she wants to live in Japan. I don't know if she wants to travel around. I don't know if she wants all of that in her life at this stage of her career. I genuinely don't know. I don't know what the future's going to be for Meiko. I don't know if she's going to be part of NXT Europe next year. I don't know if she's going to be competing in NXT. I don't know if she's going to drop the belt and then just go away until NXT Europe starts. I don't know if she is going to just not be a part of NXT Europe and this is her done with NXT and WWE. Or does she go to the main roster? I mean, literally anything could happen. So I hope she stays. I hope that she gets used as much as possible. I'm a big, big fan of Meiko Satomura. I even went to an indie show in Wolverhampton just to go and see her compete, just to see her wrestle. I have actually been fortunate enough to see her wrestle live in person at an indie show. And it takes a lot to get me to go to an indie show. Not because I'm down on indie shows, but I'm always streaming or doing stuff. But when she was there, I knew I had to go. So, I've actually dragged myself out of my home to go and go to an indie show just to see her compete. But that meant all three of these women were in the ring, and they agreed to a triple threat match. So this match at Worlds Collide, it's going to be Meiko versus Mandy versus Blair Davenport. Winner will unify the belts. So Tyle Bate taking on Bron Breakker at Worlds Collide to unify the titles. And here the women have agreed they're going to unify the titles as well. Blair Davenport, though, not bringing anything to the party, but she is the number one contender. So she has managed to insert herself into that match. Great segment, though. Crowd loving the fact that Meiko was a part of it. Then we went backstage and we got this with... I don't know what they're called. Are they called the Familia? With Don Tony. And he was basically saying, like, he's ready to forgive the past. You know, they turned on him, they cheated on him, and he's ready to forgive all of that because of they want to move forward and everything. So he said the future starts tonight. The past is the past. Obviously, Santos Escobar is gone. And so now he wants to bring unity to the group. And he said, you know, you can do that tonight. So Legado Del Fantasma, we're going to be in a match against the Dyad, is it? They were going to be facing the Dyad later. And he was looking for them to get a win and, you know, kind of put the past in the past. Amazingly, after all of that, Indi had stayed out there. So Indi, who lost that match to Blair Davenport, she actually never left. She had stayed out there all this time. And she was cutting a promo saying, it's me, I'm rubbish, it's always been me, I wanted to reignite my career. And she was really real down on herself. And the crowd love Indi. So they were like, no, don't say. You could hear the crowd like, no, come on, Indi, come on, and all this. And in the flipping background, look at that. Dexter Lumis arrives. Obviously, Index, these two married. And obviously, that was quite a big storyline as we went from Black and Gold into 2.0. Main event of the first ever NXT 2.0 is their wedding. So, big thing. Lumis coming down. And she was sat on the edge of the ring. Crowd went crazy, man, when he came out. It was really cool. You can see that he scoops her up, carries her away. Look at all the thumbs up from they're loving it. Yes! People absolutely loving it. These two being together. I thought at this point he was carrying her to the main roster. That was it. In my mind, that was it. She's just lost. She's probably quite far down the pecking order. We don't know what's happening with Meiko. We don't know what's happening with Mandy. Blair Davenport's here. You got Elba Fire around. And that's it. These two, off to the main roster they go. No, seemingly not. Because we see them walk off. I thought that was going to be the end of it. But actually, they go to the doors. He opens the doors. He stares at Indi and hands her a note. And then as soon as he steps back, the police arrest him. Dexter Lumis arrested on WWE NXT. I said during the watch long, I said on a separate video, how cool that what happens on a Monday plays out on a Tuesday. I hope they do more of that. It's going to be hard, real hard, because this obviously makes a lot of sense because Dexter was in NXT. So it's going to be hard to like connect the two shows, but yeah, I just love that. They should do more of that. There should be more of Raw helping NXT with its ratings because USA Network are going to encourage that. And I can't see any reason why WWE don't want NXT's ratings to be better. So why wouldn't you use... I mean, all they do on a Monday is just play a commercial for Tuesday. But why don't we actually get a bit of crossover? They have tried it in the past. Limited results with like Charlotte coming in and Dolph coming in and things like that. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this. So he gets arrested. He hands her a note. I tried to read the note and it's difficult because you only get a fleeting moment. It's flipping out of focus. It's upside down. But thankfully, Indi did post it on Twitter. And this is what it says. Here's the note. So, goodbye, Indi, brackets, for now. I love you forever. So that's what it says. Where that leaves us, I really don't know. What it says to me is that she's not going to the main roster. I think she's going to stay in NXT. And it was a bit weird, actually, now you think about it, because kind of seems to me that she was down, disappointed, gutted she'd just lost. Then her husband arrives and basically breaks up with her. Because goodbye, Indi, for now. How long's that going to be? How long's that going to be? I mean, if he's about to be flipping arrested, I mean, I can only imagine Miz won't press charges or something because it's not going to be great for him if he goes to prison now for a few years because we're going to have to wait a long time for his debut. So I don't know. I don't know where this leaves us. I'm hoping this is part of a plan and it's not just a way of kind of separating them. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm intrigued though. I'm super intrigued, but I've got a horrible feeling this was just designed to kind of separate them temporarily because he's basically said, I mean, look, he's saying goodbye for now, you know. It's not the end, but it's kind of the end. It's kind of like he's gone. I mean, he's given her a note saying goodbye. I love you forever. I mean, her day just got so much worse. So much worse. Not only did she lose a match, she's flipping lost her husband. So, yeah, sucks to be Indi Hartwell. Next match then was the tag match. This was the Dyad, the Diad, the whatever they're flipping called now. Taking on Legado Del Fantasma. You can see the result here is that the Dyad get the victory. This resulted in, obviously, Tony being very upset with Legado del Fantasma. Very upset indeed. I didn't actually catch what he said to them. He was talking to them after the match on the outside. And I know that it did result in them leaving the building. And they walked outside. And who would pull up in a car? But Santos Escobar. He said, did you really think I was going to leave without you? And so he pulls up. They jump in the car. And they surely drive off to the main roster. Surely. We know that Santos has been kicked out of NXT. I mean, I don't know if he was just hanging around the car park for a week. I have no idea what he was doing, but because he had no idea that they were going to come walking out, but they did come walking out. He pulled up in the car. They went and off to the main roster. So expect to see Legado del Fantasma on the main roster very, very soon. Next, we had Tyle Bate taking on Von Wagner. This had a lovely pace to it. So much that was going on here. Lovely, lovely pace, though. And it was Tyler that got the win. Clean win for Tyle Bate. He needs that, obviously, going into a massive match against Bron Breakker. So he needed to get the win over Von Wagner. Shame that Von Wagner takes the pin. I think Von Wagner's a, big future star. He's got a great look. I haven't seen loads of his matches, in all fairness. But I think he's got a great size. He seems to be able to promo very well. So a bit of a shame that he takes the loss here, but it's not going to hurt him, is it? No one's going to remember in the long run. Big win for Tyle Bate, giving him some good momentum as we head into Worlds Collide. Then we get to our main event of the evening. And I'm going to heap praise on Wendy Choo, because Wendy Choo is a character that I really like, but I don't like when the bell rings. Because for me, her doing all the sleepy stuff outside the ring, being asleep out back, I ain't got a problem with that. Don't care about any of that. But when the bell rings, to me, she should be in a fight. She should be in a wrestling match, like trying to win. And so, when she's doing some of the silly stuff that she does during matches, that's an issue for me. That's something that really is a barrier for me to really enjoy her character. All of that was gone this week, and it was so good. She was so good. I don't even mind this entrance. We've all seen like Tyson Fury coming out like sitting on a throne, with a cape and a crown, and this to me is just showmanship. It's just part of her entrance. This is how she wants to portray herself. This is her character. This is her gimmick. This is what's going to make her stand out in the crowd. So she was actually like in bed asleep, or pretending to be asleep as her entrance started. This might be something she's been doing on the regular. I really don't know. Haven't been watching, but watching now, and I didn't mind this. My concern was that this kind of silliness was going to play out into the match, and as I said, it didn't. So that was her entrance. It's a lights out match against Tiffany Stratton. These two just go at it, man. They just go at it, and like she's empties a trash can, puts it on Tiffany Stratton's head, smacks it with I don't know if it was a kendo stick or a wrench or something. Tennis racket, actually. I think it was a tennis racket. So she wallops this trash can, and so we get that spot. We also get a Lego spot as well. Lego in a pillow. That was a bit silly. She absolutely wallops Tiffany with this pillow. Tiffany goes down as if she's just been shot. I really expected her to pull out a lead pipe, pull out like a baseball bat, pull out something really hard. And instead, there's just bits of Lego. I wouldn't even have minded if the whole pillowcase was full of Lego and the whole thing was Lego. But it was like, honestly, just bits of Lego, and most of it was a pillow. So it did make me go, Jesus, why did Tiffany go down so hard to that? I can't imagine that that's got much weight behind it. But either way, she empties out that pillow. Out come all the Lego bits. It's actually Wendy Choo that gets slammed on it quite a bit. I can't remember Tiffany getting slammed on it at all. I mean, maybe in the finish. But Tiffany was the one that was taking the big bumps here. There was a big bump, though, that Tiffany did take on the outside when she got planted through the bed that was used as part of that entrance. Somehow that had made its way to the edge of the ring during a commercial break. No idea how. But she gets planted through that. And then pretty much moments after that gets chucked in the ring and pinned. And it is Wendy Choo that gets the victory. And as I said, this is probably the most I've enjoyed her character during a match. It was pretty serious. Yeah, there was Lego pieces, but whatever. And I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was actually a much better match than what I was anticipating. These two women just went after it. They had about 10 minutes, good pace, lots of weapons and different things being used. It was fine. It was fine. And where my expectations were compared to what we got, this was good. So that's what we got there. And then the show ends with this. This is all the champs backstage and Blair Davenport signing the contracts ready for Worlds Collide. And as we said, I do expect the tag match to be included as well next week. I think we'll get Gallus, we'll get Diamond Mine, they might even chuck in Pretty Deadly. You might actually get a fatal four-way in that, because Pretty Deadly are sort of involved as well. So I can see the NXT UK champs, Briggs and Jaensen, the NXT champs, Diamond Mine, and Gallus, and maybe Pretty Deadly being added to that card. But that's how it ended, with all of the champions signing the contract. And as I said, that in 2 hours was pretty crazy. It was a really, really good show. I always say it, but I am really interested in seeing your scores and seeing what you've actually put down, because I really thought they kept the momentum of last week's Heatwave going this week, which, fair play. What I sense is that Triple H has took over from Vince. He's focused on the main roster first, rightfully so. He had SummerSlam coming up, and he had to get that out the way. Now we're building to Clash, and, he's been doing, like, tweaks and changes, bringing people back. So my theory is he's done that. NXT is just really getting the changes now. I thought Heatwave was really good last week. And if this is what a normal NXT episode is going to be like now, I thought this was really good. In-ring was really solid. pace of the show was just great. I mean, so much going on. It's going to be hard to kind of maintain that every week. It's going to be really difficult to kind of maintain all of this. I mean, we've got some big stuff going on at the moment with unification matches. I mean, NXT and NXT UK unifying belts. You can't do that all the time. This is a one-off. So, little bit of a concern. The Dexter and Indi thing was such a big story. And for him to come back and get arrested following what he did on Raw, I just don't know if you can't do that all the time. So my concern is that this was a great show, but is it a show that you can repeat? Is it a show that you can deliver again and again and again, week after week after week? Or is the quality of NXT going to go kind of back down to where it's been? I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's jump over and get your thoughts. Here we go. Jim said NXT needs more actual wrestlers and less athletes that couldn't cut it in a chosen sport. I agree. We need to look at the indie scene. I don't know who's out there on the indie scene, but the great thing about the indie scene is these people have had to work in front of a live audience and get their characters over, get themselves over. I mean, if you don't connect with the audience, you don't sell merch after the show, you don't get booked on shows. So a lot of the skills that you need to, when you arrive in NXT, you learn on that indie scene. So obviously it doesn't always work. There's good indie talent, bad indie talent, but I do agree they've definitely got the advantage over just athletes coming from basketball or, So yeah, I agree. Jim said, I wonder if we get Noam Dar and the UK Heritage Cup next week. Mr. DXZ said, what do you think about the idea of Indi going to the main roster to face Maurice? Winner's husband gets freed. I like the idea of Indi going to the main roster. I'm never really a fan of people going to the main roster until they've really achieved some stuff in NXT, and I don't know if Indi has really achieved some stuff, but I just don't know what we're going to do with her. Because to me, she feels quite low down the pecking order. Not her fault. It's just the focus has been on Mandy. Now Blair Davenport's here. We don't know what's happening with Meiko. You've got Elba Fire around as well. Like, it just feels like there's quite a few women that are in the mix. And it's like, it just, where does that leave Indi? So I don't know if we're going to pull the trigger on Indi now and really get to that like main title in NXT, women's title. Or do we just move her to the main roster? And all right, she might bob around for a bit. She might be in a tag team or whatever, but she's there. At least she's up there, and we can do some stuff with her. Someone in the chat said you could do Theory and Indi against Johnny and Candice on the main roster, which I thought was quite interesting. Michael said, did you hear that when NXT Europe launches, Shawn Michaels will be running it? It has been confirmed. Thoughts? My only question would be, I think he runs NXT UK at the moment, so I don't know if it's that different to him running NXT UK. But my question would be, if we're having to travel all around Europe, then is that going to be a bigger commitment than NXT UK? And how is he going to do that and NXT? So that would be my thoughts. My thoughts would be, great, ain't got no problem with that, but how is he going to do that and NXT? I think he does NXT UK and NXT, but NXT UK is just, I believe they tape all the shows in a block, and it's all from a studio in London. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to do that travel, but if you've got a show that's going to travel around, and it's maybe not, I don't know, that it's going to be recorded in a block anymore, they haven't released any details, I feel like NXT Europe's going to be a bigger commitment than NXT UK. So it does make me question, what do we do with NXT? Did you know Worlds Collide is the same day, but it's on at 4? Are you streaming both? If we can stream both, I will stream both, yes. Connor said, I've always watched NXT Black and Gold. When 2.0 started, I stopped watching. I've come back and I am impressed. Dylan said, I hope Carmelo Hayes will defend the North American title at Worlds Collide. I'm sure he will. NXT 2.0 has always been lit, especially some of the shows back in April where there would be 6 matches and so many segments resulting in non-stop entertainment, says Houston. Did you see Triple H brought back Road Dogg? He could start writing NXT 2.0 when Sean goes to Europe. I heard that Road Dogg's come back to replace Jeff Jarrett, so I don't know that he's going to go into that role. John said, when NXT Europe arrives, are all of NXT UK talent going to be moved over? No news on that. I mean, there's been a good chunk that have been released, sadly. So a good chunk of them have been released, but like Trent Seven, for example. But we don't know what's going to happen with Meiko now after Worlds Collide. What's going to happen with Tyle Bate? What's going to happen with... Well, I'd imagine Briggs and Jaensen will stick around, but what happens with Gallus? What happens with Clint Dempsey? I mean, I have to think that a good chunk of these that are on this show now will stay on this show now. I'm hoping Meiko sticks around, for example. But maybe they stick around and then once NXT Europe starts, some of them could end up going over there. Or maybe NXT Europe is just going to be a complete fresh new start. I mean, I think a lot of people would like to see Trent Seven come back. And there's maybe a chance of that. There's maybe a chance of that. Maybe Mark Andrews as well. But equally, there's probably a chance that it's just going to be a brand new class. Completely fresh faces, you know? I can't believe they let go Millie McKenzie, to be honest. I thought that she was a real one for the future. I mean, she's young. And she's already been like competing in Japan and everything. So, don't know. Yeah, surprised that some that got released. What version of NXT do you prefer? Well, black and gold, 100%. My favorite NXT was when it was on the network and it was an hour. I think an hour is perfect for NXT because you can stack an hour. Nothing outstays its welcome. And you don't overexpose the superstars. With 2 hours... You're kind of using a lot of the same talent every week. You're kind of blowing through storylines a lot quicker. I feel like storylines now play out quicker than when they was on the networks. Then it was a lot slower. But that slower build was more satisfying. And you didn't focus on the same stories all the time. And you certainly didn't see the same superstars each week. You know, you would watch NXT and then it'd be like, tune in next week because we've got Finn Balor. And it's not like you would have Finn Balor every week. Or it's not like you would have Asuka every week. You could have weeks where you didn't have those superstars because it was only an hour. And so there's only so many segments. And I just really like that. I just really liked the variety. And honestly, I've said this before. It was genuinely exciting if you knew next week you were going to get Asuka. Because when they had a segment, it meant something. It wasn't just filler. Because what you get now with, say, Raw and SmackDown is you get pretty much all the superstars every week that you want. But they just can be in, like, filler segments. They can just be in throwaway matches. Look at New Day when they did 13 weeks or however many weeks of just rematches against the Brawling Brutes. You know, it got them on the show every week. But what they were doing was god-awful. Whereas with NXT, Black and Gold on the network, if you had Asuka... then you didn't get her every week, so it felt special. And then when she was on, the segment was significant. So I really love that. I mean, we ain't going to go back to that, but that's my favourite. The Meiko situation is interesting. Does she want to live in the US? Do you remember when Tony asked for her release? She said she was burnt out and was homesick. Triple H needs to be careful, says Michael. I agree. John said, same day as All Out. Same day as All Out. Juice Tin says, who do you think should be Legado del Fantasma's first feud? Interesting because you've got, 3 guys and a woman. I mean, straight away your mind goes Judgment Day, or mine goes Judgment Day. You could also look at Hit Row because they did do a bit of a feud in NXT, but Hit Row have only just arrived. So it's a little bit dangerous doing 2 new factions because someone's going to lose and, you know, it's going to hurt them because they've only just arrived. So Judgment Day, Hit Row, you definitely think of that. I think, to be honest, what I would do is I would probably have Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. I would probably have them do something where they're picking on some people and Legado del Fantasma come out. And then I would have them challenge them. Because I think you need to go up against someone that they can beat. And they can easily beat Los Lotharios. So you might need to add a woman to that group. Or you might need to add another guy to that group. So you can like speculate who that should be. But it needs to be someone that they can beat. And Los Lotharios, they're heels. They're, you could say, disgracing the lucha name. The Mexican nationality. And maybe you could like lean into that a little bit. But I think more importantly, they're beatable. But yeah, I could see Wilds, maybe Wilds and Mendoza take on the Los Lotharios. I can see Thingy on the outside. Electra Lopez, she'll just be on the outside. Santos, if he gets involved, we just need to find another guy to join Los Lotharios. That'll be easy. We can find someone to join that. So I'd probably look at that for a first feud. Just something to get them in through the door, give them a good win, build them up. And then, I don't know, we go to Judgment Day or we go to Summit down the road. Ace WWE 2003. Shout out to you, buds. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big Boy Dally said, definitely do Garza's and Aaliyah against Legado. That could be all right. Maybe Aaliyah, like, heel. She'd need to be heel. But that could be pretty fun. I'd love Santos against Mysterio, says Groggish. Michael said, Daze, some of the people that got released last week was told the door is always open. I don't know if that means at some point in the future Trent and Millie could come back. Hope so. I'd like both of them to return. And Mark Andrews. Aiden said, my birthday is next week. Can you say happy birthday? Aiden, happy birthday. Jim says, didn't Legado del Fantasma already feud with Hit Row? Yeah, they had a little feud. It wasn't very long down in NXT 2.0, but going to the main roster, it's a reset anyway, because obviously the amount of people that tune into Raw is about 2 million at the moment. The amount of people that tune into NXT is around 500,000, so I don't know how many people have seen that feud. And as I said, it wasn't very long, and I think like it might have been when Hit Row first got called up anyway, so as they didn't feud that long, and I don't think it had a satisfying conclusion. I'd have to go back and revisit it, but there'd be no problems going back and doing it on the main roster. John said, Dominic Mysterio is a disgrace to the luchador tradition. He doesn't wear a mask. Should have put in some time in NXT instead of riding Ray's coattails. Philip said, do you think Triple H is working with all the wrestlers to help create? He said that he wants ideas from everywhere, so I believe he's probably getting input from everywhere. I can't imagine he's taking on everyone's ideas and going with everyone's ideas, and nor should he, but yeah, I believe that he is definitely looking to get information from everywhere he can. Dexter can get immunity for divulging Mrs. whereabouts. Is that how it works? You commit a crime, but you can you can't go to prison if you tell them where the victim is. I don't know if it works that way, but then part of me is thinking like, yeah, why not? Because surely the priority is to get Miz back. But then how can Dexter not be punished for kidnap? Don't tell me there's kidnappers out there. Because otherwise, wouldn't you just have kidnappers kidnapping people, then go into the police saying, I've kidnapped someone. I'll only tell you where they are if I'm, like, innocent. That can't be what happens. But surely they want the person back. Because what if they go, well, I'm not going to tell you then? If you arrest me, I'm not going to tell you. I've never really thought about that. But I can't imagine, because what would be stopping a kidnapper just constantly doing that for the rest of their lives? I've kidnapped someone. If you want him back, you can't take me to prison. It'd just be a game, wouldn't it? Free the homie, says Orange Blitz. What's your opinion on Andrew Tate? Listen, I know I've heard of Andrew Tate because I believe he's got a kickboxing background, but I know nothing about him. And I do not follow the circles that I believe he's like on YouTube or whatever, and he was outspoken, all this. I have no idea what he says, what he stands for, what he said. I genuinely don't know. I don't watch like KSI or like YouTubers. It's not something that I engage in. And if he's on TikTok, I've got even less knowledge. So it's just not something that's on my radar. Casey Max said, who was the other kidnapper that tried to get AJ Styles? Was it of someone of significance or a decoy? I actually never saw a name, but I'm not expecting it to be of significance. My knowledge is that it's just a decoy. My knowledge is that, it was just a way for Dexter to grab Miz rather than it being actually someone that's working with Dexter. So, as far as I know, just a decoy. Right, let's go over to the scores, shall we? I'm quite interested here, see what you lot scored NXT this week. So, wow, tied at the top. You're going to have to get in some more responses because right now we are tied at the top. We've got 8.5, 6 responses, and we've got an 8 as well, 6 responses. So, we're going to need to try and separate those. Otherwise, what I'll have to do is I'll have to give it the official score of 825. That will be my compromise. But we'll come back to it. We'll have a look at the question answers, and then we'll come back to it. And if that hasn't changed, we'll go with 825. Right, here we go. Relatively strong 2.0. Indi and Dexter stuff was solid. WWE should get Starlight Kid from Stardom. She is a great talent. WWE can use more masked representation, in my opinion. Dexter getting arrested and connecting the lines from Raw is something that was missing from WWE when Vince was in charge. Dexter returns and reunites with Indi. I think we're going to get a lot of Dexter mentions here, aren't we? Besides Dexter, I loved Grayson Waller and Apollo segment. Wendy going over. Waller Effect was a banger with some shoot-style questions and the Gallus boys. Dexter surrendering to local authorities. Free him. The Miz deserved it, says Sam. Lego Mania running wild. Indi Dexter. Choo versus Stratton. Did Dexter get arrested? I missed it. Triple T. He did get arrested. Yes, he was arrested on the show tonight. Dexter Lumis returns to divorce his wife. Dexter Lumis versus The Miz. The end of the contract signing. The Legos, of course. The last 75 minutes. Tiffany against Wendy. Index segment. Tyle Bate winning. Index. Used to have a shop called Index, Least favourite parts. 2.0 is still corny. Don't care for most of the characters. The product has been getting better wrestling wise, but it's still a bit mediocre. Maybe it's just not my thing, but it's not clicking. The police arresting Dexter. He doesn't deserve that. It doesn't matter if he crashed his car, set fire, kidnapped the Miz, caused utter chaos. He's a great man. There was only one segment with 3 people where I had no idea who they were and I didn't care. I'm guessing that might be that backstage segment with the security guard and that new guy and that woman. When my food I ordered never showed up, oh my God, whoever you are, thoughts are with you this evening. Wesley being wasted currently and no Carmelo Hayes. Dexter wrongfully arrested for Miz-napping. He was innocent. Briggs and Jaensen still don't do it for me. Being robbed of proper in-ring contract signings. The AEW brawl at the beginning, says Nando. That's a really good point, actually. That tag match that resulted in Pretty Deadly getting involved, and then also the Creed brothers getting involved. Those brawls did feel very AEW, and I am critical of them, and so I am going to be critical of this. I think the good thing is, though, it was only that one segment, so it's not like after every match we've had brawls. But do need to just need to be careful with that. A nothing brilliant show. Ooh. I thought the Dexter stuff was brilliant. I enjoyed that. I mean, what else was brilliant? Seeing Meiko was brilliant. Apparently, we've not seen her compete in a wrestling match in America in 5 years. So I thought that was cool. And I'm very excited for Worlds Collide, so I definitely do want to do both shows, yes. But didn't hit for someone there. Tiny Balls, Miss. No one crying. Yeah, good point. There was a real lack of tears this evening. BD versus IH, NXT UK, Schism. The Schism. I don't even understand what that means. The Schism. Let's go back to some good answers there. And 8.5 has won it. 8.5 has won it. 8.5 is our official score for this show. Let's just get those final thoughts. Daze, I believe Hit Row and Legado Del Fantasma's feud ended with what I want to say Hit Row winning. If I remember, B-Fab fought Elektra Lopez in a street fight and lost. There was a street fight between them, but I can't remember there being Hit Row against Legado Del Fantasma in like a big match that kind of, do you know what I mean? If those two women definitely fought, because that's one of the only B-Fab matches I've ever seen. So that is true, and they were feuding, and I remember that match, but I'm really struggling to remember Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. I'm not saying it didn't happen, it absolutely could have, but I'm just struggling to recall it. Either way, nothing is going to stop me from saying that we can't revisit it on the main roster. El Sean says, thank you for the watch long and review. Thank you, El Sean. Thank you. Would you say you want to see Santos against Ray? I think it would be a fantastic match. Yes, I'd want to see that. And I'd want Ray to put Santos over. Schism is Grizzled Young Veterans and Gacy. Oh. I thought they were known as the Dyad. I thought that was the new Grizzled Young... is that what all three are called when Gacy's involved as well? They're known as the Schism. Is that really their name? I hope everyone laughed when that was revealed. Ace WWE 2003 said, Edward told me about this channel. I'm glad he did. I enjoy these streams. Well, that's very kind of Edward to do that. He's not around at the moment. Oh, he is around. There he is. I was going to say he's not around at the moment, but he is around. He said he wouldn't be around. Well, there we go. Ace WWE 2003. I'm guessing a Man City fan. Shout out to you. Edward, shout out to you. Edward lied in the watch long, said he wouldn't be on this stream, but here he is. Santos should retire Ray at rest. Surely Dominic retires Ray. And then takes his mask. I'm here, says Edward. Edward is here. Thoughts? Few more questions then. Thoughts? And do you think Triple H could bring back Bronson Reed? I don't think so, because he's in New Japan now. So I'm guessing he's under a New Japan contract. So I don't think so. I mean, maybe one day, but I'm not expecting it to be anytime soon. Unbroken says, schism is a silky, silly word. Blazed, hello, Blazed. Hope you're well, buddy. Hope you're well. Juice Tin said, do you still talk to Bretto live? I don't actually. Do you know, in all fairness, I never spoke to him that much. But always respected his work and what he did. It always came across like a really nice guy. But and he did I think he did jump into our watch-alongs at the very beginning. But I have not heard from him in a long time. But I hope he's well. I hope his channel's doing well. So shout out to him. Edward said, I didn't lie. I was planning on going to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. So don't call me a liar. Love you, Daze. Well, listen, Edward, really appreciate the support, and I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. I hope you had fun. I thought it was a really good show. We are back tomorrow with AEW. Of course, we're here on Friday for SmackDown as well. And then what are we doing on Saturday? KSI on Saturday. So we've got a lot coming up this week. It's a busy, busy week. But a big thank you to everyone that joined us tonight. Really hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, you can listen to these reviews if ever you're not able to catch them live on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Podcast. They're yet to go onto Apple Podcast. I do need to get that sorted, but they will be on there soon. So you can catch these on all of those platforms as well. But really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you again next time. Bye for now.